Hello, it's Friday, July 10th. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 13 of What's Happening in Myanmar, a show from the Frontier Myanmar podcast family. I'm your host, Nick Dunlop. This week in Myanmar, Junta leader Min Aung Hlaing sought legitimacy in Laos while resistance infighting surged at home. Protests against cross-border pollution turned violent in Thailand. A Starlink shutdown threatened resistance communications, with landslides in Rohingya refugee camps in Bangladesh. Junta leader Min Aung Hlaing made his first official visit to an ASEAN member state since his appointment as president in April. The state visit to Vientiane, Laos from July the 3rd to the 5th was held to mark the 70th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the two countries. Min Aung Hlaing met with Lao President Thongloun Sisoulith and Prime Minister Sonsai Sipadon. The leaders signed several memorandums of understanding, pledging to strengthen collaboration in border security, information sharing, and cooperation with international organizations such as ASEAN and the United Nations. President Thongloun Sisoulith congratulated Min Aung Hlaing on the successful conduct of the regime's tightly controlled election, held in 3 phases in December last year and January, and the formation of his ostensibly civilian administration. The visit is seen by analysts as an effort by Min Aung Hlaing to break his regime's diplomatic isolation and to gain a foothold back into ASEAN. In a move signaling a potential thaw in relations, ASEAN foreign ministers will hold an informal meeting with Myanmar's regime counterpart in Bangkok this coming Sunday. For years, the junta has been sidelined from high-level meetings for failing to implement the bloc's 5-point consensus to end the civil war. But since the regime leader was appointed president in April, members like Thailand have pushed for engagement, culminating in this weekend's talks. Critics see it as a reward for inaction, while supporters like Vietnam call it an opportunity to promote reconciliation dialogue. The meeting comes just ahead of the official ASEAN foreign ministers' meeting, where a lower-level official will represent the regime, highlighting the bloc's continued, if conflicted, approach to the crisis. In Sagaing Region's Jonla Township, an unspecified resistance group was accused of detaining and interrogating dozens of parents for sending their children to a regime school. A village elder who tried to broker their release died during an interrogation, with 9 parents still in custody. In the same township, internal conflict turned deadly when a member of one People's Defence Force battalion stabbed a member of another to death over a bar bill. Meanwhile, residents in Yeu Township are demanding justice after members of a local defense force allegedly beheaded a couple last September over a financial disagreement. While 2 civilians were sentenced by a National Unity Government court, resistance fighters allegedly intervened and freed them, leaving the victim's family without justice. In Mandalay, the owner of the Sky Villa condominium, which collapsed during last year's earthquake, killing 206 people, was sentenced to 5 years in prison for negligent homicide. Victims' families expressed outrage, calling the sentence insufficient. Reports have also emerged that the chief minister of Mandalay region, Min Aung, may have been involved in the construction but has not faced any charges. In northern Thailand, at least 2 demonstrators were injured during a protest against cross-border river pollution. Activists in Chiang Mai marched to demand action against Chinese-run heavy metal mines in United Wa State Army-controlled territory in eastern Shan State's Mongsat Township, which have contaminated the Kok, Sai, Ruak, and Mekong rivers in northern Thailand. Clashes broke out when police blocked the march to the Chinese consulate. SpaceX's Starlink has reportedly begun shutting down devices used across rural Myanmar. The company notified users that devices in unauthorized countries, including Myanmar, will be blocked. Resistance fighters have relied on Starlink for internet access due to regime-imposed communication blackouts, and its loss threatens to suspend the flow of information and finance for anti-junta forces. The National Unity Government's Sagaing Region Command has detained a Moniwad District People's Defence Force commander for ordering a raid on 3 camps of the parallel government's own police force, the People's Security Force. 5 PSF members, including its leader, and 3 civilians were killed in the raid. The NUG has formed a committee to investigate the incident. After more than 10 years of award-winning journalism, we at Frontier are fighting for our survival. The grants that once supported 2/3 of our operations are no longer available. Despite this, our journalists continue their difficult and dangerous work, but with decreasing resources. Please encourage friends and colleagues to join Frontier so we can continue producing our trademark features, in-depth investigations, and on-the-ground reporting. By joining Frontier, you'll be supporting us to tell the stories that matter and to cut through the noise to reveal what's really happening in Myanmar. Please click the link in the podcast show notes to join us. Thank you. Monsoon rains triggered a landslide in a Rohingya refugee camp in Bangladesh's Cox's Bazar district on Tuesday, killing at least 7 children and 1 teacher, and injuring 5 others at a madrasa. 40 children were in the madrasa at the time, with volunteers, aid workers, firefighters and police rescuing survivors and recovering bodies. The deaths followed landslides on Monday that killed at least 8 Rohingya refugees. The United Nations Refugee Agency said 15,800 refugees have been affected by the recent flooding, with more than 3,000 displaced and over 1,600 shelters damaged or destroyed. Heavy rain is expected to continue. Landslides, floods and fires are recurring threats in the overcrowded camps, where more than 1 million Rohingya refugees live after fleeing persecution in Myanmar, including over 700,000 who fled during the military's 2016-17 clearance operations in northern Rakhine State. Meanwhile, Bangladeshi Prime Minister Tariq Rahman said his government is considering talks with Myanmar's regime and the Arakan army to create conditions for a Rohingya repatriation to Rakhine. He said Bangladesh is also pursuing third-country resettlement options and seeking greater international support for the refugees. The junta claimed to have retaken control of the Yaji highway between Moniwa and Kalewa in Sagaing. The road is a key part of the India-Myanmar-Thailand trilateral highway. A resistance member confirmed the regime's advance, citing a lack of sufficient arms and ammunition, but cast doubt on the military's ability to maintain full control of the route. A brawl broke out between the Myanmar National Democratic Alliance Army and the Kachin Independence Army at a checkpoint in northern Rakhine State's Kut Kai Township. The conflict was reportedly resolved after senior officers from both sides negotiated a deal. That's the latest from Myanmar for this week. I'll be back next week to bring you a roundup of all the stories making the headlines on Friday, July the 17th.